Hey guys, what is up and welcome to a new League of Legends video. So I actually really find it fun to make top X lists, so for instance top 5 mids or top 5 assassins or whatever. But for this one we'll be changing up the pace by just a bit and do a top 10 solo or hard carry champion list for League of Legends. This is a list of champions that I personally believe just have a lot of impact around the game. Their kit is designed, or just the champion is designed to be a very strong one, especially if fed. These champions don't always have to rely on their teammates, they can set up the plays, they're the ones that can be the reason as to why the team won, essentially 1v5ing, or they can be the reason why everyone on your team is actually very fed. Or in other words, I'm just trying to say that these 10 champions are the ones I believe can be the sole reason as to why a team had won. I quickly want to give shoutouts to Philol because he did make a video similar to this with his own opinion, and I thought, you know what, that's an interesting topic and I want to make my own personal list. So I'll link his video down below if you want to check it out. So if you end up enjoying this slightly different type of video, let me know by hitting the like button. But let's not waste any more time and go right into champion number 10. Here we're going to be talking about LeBlanc. Now LeBlanc is known to be a very annoying champion to face because she's just so insanely mobile, she has a lot of burst damage, and she can get to the backline quite easily. She's also known to have one of the best laning phases among all assassin champions in League of Legends, to the point where if you mess up against her, which it's very easy to do so, you're probably gonna lose your lane. A very skilled LeBlanc player can do so many things with this champion because she just has so many things that she can do that stopping her, especially when she's very fed, is just not an easy thing to do. When you're sieging down a tower or when the enemy team is sieging you, LeBlanc can easily get to the backline, burst someone down, and then instantly get back to safety beside her team. If she's winning the lane, she can easily roam and make a lot of pressure happen across the map as well, and it's just not easy to stop a very fed LeBlanc, as I'm sure many of you can agree. So LeBlanc will definitely be taking the number 10 spot. But next I want to bring up an AD carry, one that I feel like does have a lot of solo carry potential because there's just so many things she can do. Vayne. You'll notice that a lot of the champions I'll be talking about in this video are very assassin-like champions because the assassins are pretty much made to hard or solo carry, because either they will hard or solo carry a game or they're gonna be absolutely useless. And a skilled Vayne player can carry games very easily because of just how much outplay potential she can do, the damage she has later on into the game, and a very good Vayne player can also make her laning phase, the part that she's supposed to be very weak, not all that bad. All in all, Vayne is pretty much the assassin AD carry that can do insane things, hard carry games, make a lot of presence around the map, and if she so chooses, she can even split push and make that work effectively. All in all, a very solid ADC that has a lot of potential to carry throughout most metas. But going into champion number 8, we'll be talking about my personal favorite, Zed. Ever since Zed's release, he's always been known to be that assassin, the one that just everyone is really scared to play against. He's the one that makes you feel really helpless when he ults you, and then it just feels like there's nothing you can do to stop him. And he probably has the best laning phase of all assassin champions that are also melee. He has great pushing power, he can roam and make plays very easily as well. He does snowball very effectively, he can make a lot of plays, he can do what LeBlanc does, which is go to the backline, kill the squishies, and then instantly retreat to safety. But on top of all of this and having good teamfight power to where he can solo carry a teamfight based on his outplay potential and the amount of shadow usage he can do, he can also split push very effectively and 1v1 many champions in League of Legends. All in all, a very skilled Zed player will know what to do and how to abuse his power and essentially hard carry a game. But speaking of split pushing to victory, let's talk about champion number 7, Jax. For as long as I can remember, and especially at the very moment with the new Trinity Force, Jax is an absolute monster. I will argue that Jax probably has the best, if not top 3 best dueling potentials out of any champion in League of Legends. He is just amazing when it comes to a 1v1 scenario. But now that the new Triforce makes him just flat out better in almost every single way, it's just very hard to stop him, especially if he gets ahead in the laning phase. He'll be top lane all games, split pushing absolutely, destroying the tower thanks to his W and the Sheen effect, but it's very hard to stop him as well. You're gonna have to send at least 3 people to the top lane, and what does that mean for your other team? Well, they can do whatever they want, they can go for an objective, they can go for other towers, and chances are, the 3 people you send to Jax, he can probably kill 2 of them, if not all 3. The amount of pressure a Jax can create, even if he's behind, is just unmatchable. He's a very hard champion to deal with, and I truly believe, especially as a split pushing Jax, he can hard carry or solo carry games with ease. But let's move over to the jungle and talk about champion number 6, Nidalee. When it comes to hard carrying games and creating an insane amount of pressure early on, because that's the role of a jungler, it's very hard to find a champion that does a better job than Nidalee. Her role is to abuse the game. She can abuse the enemy jungler, she can abuse the lanes as well. She has insane amount of pressure. I mean, she just does so much damage. She can go through the jungle easily with her W ability in Cougar form. And if you've never faced a very skilled Nidalee player, then I envy you. I mean, I really do. This champion is just, it feels so impossible to deal with her if the person knows exactly what they're doing. She's always picked in very high elos because, again, mastering Nidalee in the jungle is just one of the best ways to climb. And maybe other than someone like Kindred, Nidalee has got to have one of the highest pressures of any jungle champion in League of Legends for a very long time. So if I were you, I would start praying that you don't face a very skilled Nidalee player. But champion number 5 is going to be another jungle champion, but someone that can be played in the top lane as well, Rengar. Now, whether or not Rengar is considered to be an OP champion at the very moment is definitely something you can debate and argue, but I'm sure one thing we can all agree on is the fact that in solo queue, especially in the lower elo, everyone is off doing their own thing. Everyone is just farming in their own lanes. Even 30 minutes into the game, and grouping as a team is just not something you'll see very often. And Rengar is literally designed, much like someone like Zed, to just flat out find one person that's by themselves, eliminate them in a matter of seconds, and not give them much time to react. He does that job very well, and solo queue is a place where Rengar simply shines. But in higher elo, where people start grouping very frequently, I have noticed a lot of Rengar players go AP Rengar, because then it doesn't even matter if they're grouped or not. You're AP Rengar, you jump in, you do a lot of damage, and you just run away with your ultimate smooth speed. Now granted, I don't think Rengar is necessarily overpowered or anything. You do have to be somewhat of a one trick to make him really work out very well. But again, the point of this video is to talk about champions that, if mastered, have insane amounts of pressure throughout League of Legends. The amount of times and how hard I've seen people like Chaos Rain carry games with Rengar, it's pretty scary to see. But let's move into champion number 4. This is going to be sort of a double whammy, Pantheon and Twisted Fate. I will be putting the spotlight a little bit more on Pantheon, but to me, Pantheon and Twisted Fate are pretty much the same champion. One is just an AD version, and one of them is an AP version. But the idea is that they both have that ultimate where they can make a play across half of the map almost instantly and create an insane amount of pressure throughout the whole game. But especially someone like Pantheon in solo queue, I mean, his laning phase is fantastic. He can abuse many champions. His kit is very simple, it's very point and click, it's not hard to use, but the amount of damage he can do, the amount of pressure he can apply with his ultimate is extremely high. Him and Twisted Fate are one of those champions that, if used properly, will make everyone on your team extremely fed, and just from that you will snowball the game. You'll probably make someone on the enemy team rage quit, and in my opinion, that is a solo or hard carry. I'm sure we can all agree that Pantheon is a very scary champion in solo queue if ahead, and it feels almost impossible to stop him. But now let's finally make our way into the top 3 of what I personally believe to be the best champions when mastered, or when you at least know what you're doing very well with them, to hard or solo carry games. And taking the number 3 spot is going to be Fizz. This guy just, wow, this guy is something else. For as long as I can remember, and even honestly at the very moment, Fizz has always been known, if to be ahead, you just, I mean, how do you stop him? You can't stop him. He has his Zhonya's, he has his E ability, he has insanely high damage with the Lich Bane and everything else that you usually build on him as AP Fizz. You can easily go Trinity Force Fizz, you can go Gauntlet Fizz, you can still be insanely annoying. His ultimate, if you ever landed on your target, chances are they're about to die. It's extremely easy to underestimate Fizz's damage as well, because even if he's half your CS and he's level 6 and you're level 8 in the laning phase, well, if his ultimate lands on you, and as long as he has a Sheen and maybe a little bit of other AP items, you're probably gonna die. He scales well, he can absolutely obliterate almost everyone he wants in a team fight. He can even split push if he really wants to. And if you see a very fed Fizz and a very fed Jax, I mean, honestly, if the Fizz plays it well enough and dodges Jax's stun with his E, he can probably kill him. This guy, I'm sure we can all agree, is one of the most tilting champions to face, especially when fed, so we can all agree that he has to be one of the best champions in League of Legends when it comes to hard or solo carrying a game. But let's move into champion number 2, Azir. The amount of times I've seen Azir get nerfed but still be considered a very top tier champion, especially in high elo or competitive play, is just too damn high. He is also one of my personal favorites to play whenever I'm really trying to win a game, or whenever I'm just really tryharding, because the amount of damage he can do late game, the amount of pressure he can dish out, the insect potential with his ultimate and the Shurima shuffle, his passive being able to create a turret which can easily put a lot of pressure in the laning phase. He's one of those champions that kind of relies on his team, but to the point where it's not that he relies on his team, it's the fact that when he is with his team, he feels just really hard to get to and stop. He has very good poke potential, and I mean, for the most part, there's a reason why you always see him in competitive play. He truly just gets the job done. He's very hard to stop, he scales insanely well, and with a Rylai's Crystal Scepter in his kit, it's hard to get away from him. I'm sure if you've ever seen a good Azir player, maybe like Bjergsen, you've seen what this champion can do, and you've seen the amount of pressure that this champion can dish out. But let's finally move into champion numero uno. Here we'll be talking about Gangplank. Ever since Gangplank's rework, this guy at first seemed very questionable, but as people start to really understand him and how he should be played, let me just say that I highly regret not investing more time into this champion. In my 100% truthful opinion, I really believe that a skilled Gangplank player, someone that has more or less mastered this champion, can dish out so much pressure that it's really unmatched. His barrels will do such high damage to the point where in a team fight, or even when you're sieging down towers or whatever, or when the enemy team is trying to siege down towers, or even if you play an assassin style Gangplank by hiding barrels in a bush, one solid Gangplank barrel, especially later on into the game, can easily be the difference between winning or losing a game. Notice how I didn't even say teamfight, I said a game, because yes, his Gangplank barrels have that much pressure. But even during the laning phase when a fight happens elsewhere, whether it's mid lane, top lane, somewhere in the jungle, you dish out your ultimate. It does a lot of damage, a lot of slow, you can proc Thunderlords. It just creates so much pressure, and you always have to play with the fact that, you know what, the enemy team has a Gangplank. I have to remember that his ultimate can change a fight in an instant, and he does not even have to be there. All in all, I truly believe Gangplank is one of the best League of Legends champions at the very moment, and probably ever since his rework. But to be fair, he is a very difficult champion, and probably the hardest champion in League of Legends as well. He's a very high risk, high reward, but trust me, if you put in the time to learn him and master him, you will not regret it. But either way guys, there you have it, my top 10 list of what I believe to be are the best solo hard carry champions in League of Legends. Ones that have the most impact in your games, ones that can probably carry games just based on how well you play the champion. Champions that have very high impact, ones you don't want to see fed, champions that just feel impossible to stop, and ones that I do recommend you start learning. A quick honorable mention does go to Yasuo. He's a very good champion, and I was gonna consider him putting in this list, but I mean, he's a very do or die champion. And I do feel like these 10 that I mentioned are probably better. But either way guys, there you have it, my top 10 list. Hope you did enjoy it. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. Let me know down in the comments below, what do you think is the #1 champion when it comes to solo or hard carrying a game? But either way guys, thank you all so much for watching. Make sure to check out my other videos as well, and I'll see you next time. Peace.